His story begins with a scene. Kim Hyang-sung picked up a pen. It appeared right before his eyes, and he directly bumped it into his thigh to verify the vivid surrounding, the study desk, his classmates, everything as if it had just happened yesterday. Indeed, this was not a dream but the reality. He had returned to 10 years ago, to the day that initiated the pain of being bullied at school, and that led to the repercussions of the following days, his first year of high school. Faced with the scene of his classmate being bullied, Kim Hyun-sung didn't say much, just walked up and punched Park Min-chun in the face. Around this same time a decade ago, Kim Hyun-sung was pushed off the rooftop by Park Min-cheol's group and subsequently entered a vegetative state. Although he could still sense his surroundings, he couldn't do anything but lie still. His grandmother, upon hearing the news, was heartbroken and couldn't believe the truth before her eyes. Kim Hyun-sung comforted himself, believing that he would wake up soon. However, in this dark world, he couldn't do anything. He tried to command his body to move, but it would not respond. The nurse advised the family to give up hope, yet his grandmother, who raised him since his parents passed away, refused to abandon him, even when he couldn't move a muscle. It was tragic that his younger brother now faced bullying in his place. To cover the medical bills, his grandmother worked extra hours at a restaurant, despite being bruised all over. His younger brother cried, begging him to just die, as their life would be less miserable without him. Kim Hyun-sung tormented himself, knowing that standing up and continuing to live was impossible. He couldn't even shed a tear. He tried to reassure himself that this was just a nightmare and that if he just waited a little longer, endured a little more, he would surely wake up. 3 years later, his brother Hyun-jin had stopped visiting long ago, and the nurses gossiped about his grandmother fainting at work. He lay there powerless, unable to do anything. He harbored hatred for all of them, vowing to pulverize each one of them if he could return to that time, planning to eradicate them so that they could never rise again, making them face even more terrifying pain than he had endured. A perfect plan to destroy everything in their lives. However, from beginning to end, there were no such miracles. 5, 6, 7 years, and then finally 10 years passed, all hope was lost. Kim Hyun-sung still lay there, everything was strangely peaceful, 2 rows of tears silently streamed down his face. In utter despair, he silently prayed, "Please, whoever you are, let him die." Returning to the present, Kim Hyun-sung acted like a wild beast without any explanation, rushing toward Park Min-chun, landing punches filled with resentment on his face. This person was the one who changed everything in his life, to the point where the main character vividly remembered everything that happened that day. Park Min-chun was half listening to the class. He was a typical bully, causing trouble to his peers, and enjoyed playing a game called Online Legend. To upgrade items in the game, he forced the class's top student to play for him. From that day, Lee Young-min became Park Min-chun's gaming slave, his grades plummeting due to investing all his money and time into the game, his stress reaching its peak. Witnessing violence for the first time, Kim Hyun-sung could not stand aside even though he did not want to cause more trouble, remembering that Lee Young-min sometimes kindly helped with study. Although discouraged, he was confident in his athletic abilities and never lagged in the boys' ranking, so Park Min-chun was not too frightened. But everything went wrong. Since the teacher arrived shortly after, the situation was handled brutally. From that moment on, Park Min-chun's gang started to harass Kim Hyun-sung. Every day, he was dragged around by them, without a single day to recover, being beaten to a pulp by them. Even after school hours, there were days when he couldn't sleep due to the bullying, such as running errands for their games. There were no other words to describe the main character's condition at that moment other than hell on earth. Therefore, as soon as he regained consciousness and saw the person in front of him, Kim Hyun-sung did not hesitate or falter, but directly charged at him. Park Min-chun had a typical fighting style based on physical strength. He was not used to being hit, hence he fell immediately when Kim Hyun-sung made the first strike. The moment he tried to fight back after being punched in the face, the main character grabbed his hair and smashed his face onto the table, even predicting Park Min-chun's subsequent moves accurately. This moment, the main character had engraved deep into his mind while unconscious. He had incessantly simulated this scenario over the past 10 years, studying every little detail of the adversary's fighting style so that now he could comfortably punch straight into the face of the enemy. Kim Hyun-sung just kept hitting, kicking, and slapping the thug in front of him, giving him no opportunity to fight back. The main character had waited for this moment for a very long time. He didn't care if he was beaten to a pulp. If the guy raised his head, the main character would kick him in the face, and if he blocked with his hand, it would be broken. Just as Park Min-chun was nearly dead, his gang arrived. Kong Chang-suk, the strongest among them, violently approached, preparing to attack. Fortunately, at that moment, their friends shouted aloud, "The teacher is coming," forcing them to leave but not before threatening, "We will settle this later. Just know, you damn bastard, we will find you right after class ends, don't even think about running away from us." Eventually, the class ended. Park Min-chun, furious, stood up, preparing to take revenge on the class president for daring to hit him. Unexpectedly, before he could even understand what was happening, Kim Hyun-sung swiftly rushed towards him, mercilessly kicking him straight in the face, then grabbing his head with an incredibly cold expression, stating, "We should continue from where we left off." At this moment, his gang rushed over, only to be utterly horrified by the sight before them. Park Min-chun was bloody and beaten, helplessly held in the grip of Kim Hyun-sung, devoid of any strength, resembling a leaf ready to fall. Seeing their ally in a critical condition, Kong Chang-suk impulsively charged at the main character. Despite being the strongest, he was faced with a situation Kim Hyun-sung had repeatedly envisioned during his coma. Knowing that he couldn't overpower him with strength alone, Kim leveraged his intelligence to find a way to subdue him. Dispensing with the notion of a fair revenge fight, the furious young man took a steel key and fiercely jabbed it into Kang's face, easily taking down the strongest person among them with this simple move. Kong Chang-suk had no chance to fight back, continuously receiving blows as if they were raining down from the sky, causing him to collapse immediately. A guy named Yongtaek took the opportunity to sneak attack from behind, but unfortunately, he couldn't escape the main character's sight. Kim was like a wild beast ferociously tearing at its prey. In no time, they were all taken down, leaving only Young Min-ho standing at a distance, witnessing the bloodthirsty state of Kim Hyun-sung. He was scared, instinctively backing away, sweat pouring down his face like a waterfall, limbs paralyzed, unable to move. At this moment, Kim Hyun-sung resembled a wild beast as he approached the remaining person and said, "Shall we end this, don't you think?" As he was about to punch his enemy straight in the face, a voice from afar echoed, "Hey, what are you kids doing?" halting the battle that was reaching its climax. It turned out to be their homeroom teacher arriving just in time to intervene. Young Min-ho felt like he had grabbed a lifeline, confidently believing that this was the end for the main character. With 3 students hospitalized, this was a major issue. Despite being severely reprimanded by the teacher, Kim Hyun-sung remained oddly calm, staring straight at him without yielding, responding, "Sir, don't overreact like this. This isn't the first instance of school violence. Whatever you are good at, you can only use it for yourself. Just cover this up, and I won't face any troubles." After saying this, Kim Hyun-sung received a harsh slap across his face, a painful punishment executed in front of the other teachers. Kim Hyun-sung recalled that in the past, he became a nonentity not just because of the bullying, but also because of the cowardly adults who were always busy, never intervening, leaving him to fend for himself. Coldly leaning close to the teacher's ear, he threatened, "Do you really intend to continue this? You should lower your voice. If not, I have no choice but to inform others about you accepting bribes from students' parents, especially from Young Min-ho's parents. As far as I know, you communicate frequently. Should I announce this here, right? Even if that's not the case, I have another thing, your fear of the English teacher." In the past, unable to withstand the bullying, the main character sought help from a teacher, only to end up being beaten terribly by Park Min-chun's gang following a meaningless discourse with the cowardly homeroom teacher, who later turned a blind eye to the incident as if nothing had happened. Following this incident, Kim Hyun-sung realized that the teacher was a worthless individual who had been accepting bribes from parents including Young Min-ho's family, and had no intention to solve the issue from the beginning. This was one of his sources of income. Things escalated beyond limits, and despite knowing he couldn't win, Kim Hyun-sung eventually decided to rise up and fight to escape the hellish reality. However, after a furious fight and with adults intervening, the main character ended up in a worse situation without his parents' support. Even in the school violence committee, he had to face the penalty alone. Park Min-chun's gang went through their school life without any obstacles. From being in a vegetative state to later stages, the main character realized that revenge couldn't purely be achieved through strength. Even the intervention of adults had to be tactically handled. Back in the present, facing the despicable teacher, Kim Hyun-sung openly pointed out his wrongdoings, from accepting bribes to having an affair with the married English teacher who had 3 small children, frightening him to the point of not daring to confront Kim Hyun-sung and him. He was confident with these things, recalling from his memory from when he was in his 3rd year. Kim Min-chun's private affairs had been exposed. His wife came to the school and beat him up violently before stamping the divorce papers. From an outsider's perspective, his family seemed well off. Rumors had it that all assets that could be considered as wealth belonged to his wife. Therefore, he was extremely afraid that his actions would be disclosed. So, there was no way the blackmailing scheme would be ineffective. It had hit right at his weak point. Kim Min-chun immediately changed his attitude and gently asked, "So, what do you want me to do?" What he wanted was quite simple. He told him that if he wanted him to remain silent, then he had to continue living miserably, maintaining a laissez-faire attitude towards the students' issues. Even though he knew it was wrong, from now on, the only person that needed to change was him, doing it solely for him. To prevent the situation from escalating, no matter the method, he just had to follow what he said until the day he graduated, and the secret would never be revealed. After settling the teacher's issue, Kim Hyun-sung hurriedly returned to class to deal with the remaining enemy. He thought that as long as the teacher was receiving money from his parents, he could do anything he wanted. Young Min-ho confidently thought that the main character's life was over. Young Min-ho sat leisurely in the class, contemplating the tragic end of the main character. However, life is not a dream. Kim Hyun-sung immediately opened the door and appeared in front of Young Min-ho, coldly saying, "Shouldn't we finish what we started? Shouldn't we?" The other party didn't have time to understand what was happening before receiving a punch straight to the face, followed by a kick to the stomach and a series of heavy, merciless blows. Young Min-ho desperately looked around, hoping someone would save him. However, reality slapped him in the face. Even the teacher who saw it turned a blind eye. All he received were slaps from Kim Hyun-sung and verbal abuses. Don't expect any help, because no one would assist you in this situation. He vented all his anger on him, avenging the pain of being bullied throughout high school. Young Min-ho's face had swollen like it was stung by bees, his body trembling like a dog. Kim Hyun-sung knew clearly that if he left Young Min-ho alone, the affairs of the other 3 enemies would somehow be covered up. But if he really planned to take revenge from the beginning, he wouldn't have punched Park Min-chun straight in the face as soon as he returned. Instead, he would have chosen a peaceful life avoiding those miserable people. After experiencing hell on earth in the form of a vegetative life, the only thing he craved was revenge, and this was the result of it. Things were gradually turning chaotic. 3 individuals had been taken down, plus 1 more. The principal would certainly discipline him severely, as he wanted to build this high school into a prestigious institution. Moreover, too many witnesses had seen the main character's actions to cover it up. Therefore, this was just the beginning. The principal stated that Kim Hyun-sung not only sent the victims to the hospital but also showed cruel violence towards them, showing no signs of regret or apology even after counseling with Mr. Kim Min-chun. He later ruthlessly attacked student Min-ho, which was an outrageous crime. Therefore, he needed to be disciplined immediately. Other teachers chimed in, escalating the tension even further. Even the English teacher demanded Kim Hyun-sung's immediate expulsion. Kim Min-chun listened to his lover's incessant babbling while sweating profusely. At this rate, if the main character gets expelled, everything would end, and he couldn't let everything fall apart. He had to speak up to help Kim Hyun-sung. It's true that Kim Hyun-sung was wrong, but from my observation as the homeroom teacher of Section 1, this incident occurred because of the victims, including Park Min-chun. There have been many rumors that Park Min-chun's gang frequently bullied other students. I intended to catch them red-handed and discipline them immediately, but it seems that student Kim Hyun-sung couldn't endure it anymore, and the unfortunate incident happened as a result. Kim Hyun-sung was a victim before becoming a perpetrator. If we just discipline him like this, it would go against the principles of an educator. The principal, after hearing the homeroom teacher speak, was dissatisfied and said, "No way, Young Min-ho's parents will not let this slide." However, since the other person had spoken up, he had to concede. After contemplating for a while, he decided to summon the disciplinary committee within a week from now to consider disciplinary actions, and Kim Hyun-sung will be suspended until the disciplinary committee is convened. Before Kim Hyun-sung left, the homeroom teacher followed behind, buttering up to him, hoping he would not reveal his dirty secret. The teacher was quite amusing, changing attitudes swiftly, and was no different from a scum who had long thrown away the honor of being a teacher. Ignoring him, Kim Hyun-sung turned around and threatened, "I know you tried your best, but it seems like you knew from the beginning about Park Min-chun regularly bullying other students, didn't you, sir? Remember this. Until the day I graduate from this school, the only thing you can do to stop me from spilling everything is to ensure my benefits at all costs, using any means necessary. If you can't even do this, Lee Mi-young's whole life will be ruined. I swear, I guarantee, I will not break my promise." Having threatened the teacher, from this moment on, the main character only has 1 week to plan to survive and exact revenge on those who have plunged his life into a quagmire. Kim Hyun-sung meticulously plans to swallow up the surrounding areas within 2 years, to build a foundation and obliterate the enemy's base. To do this, 3 conditions are necessary. First is personal strength to deal with the school bullies. One must be strong enough to face them without backing down. Second, understanding the current context. Future rivals are actively recruiting forces. To handle them, we need to find people with the same goal. Lastly, the most crucial is to have a backing or supporting force.